오야 당아주 동샤도 시에스 말베 동샤바 어디 개체버를 산지가 송으로서 디바샤비추 어디 동샤라 내내는 아주 디바샤 어디 시다 개체버에서 말베.
So we are giving an explanation or a teaching on the confession of downfalls, the 35 Buddhas of confession, sometimes also called. And this is a very important text because it explains the way in which we can acknowledge or confess our downfalls. And this is a very important practice. So this is a very important text because of the nature of the text and what it explains.
어제 당아주 신진 선지진에 되는 도와 도바샤다를 동해만 도바샤다레스 도와가 주데 너가와레 도와레 동해가 주 디바레 도와레스 말베 디바도 마샤바이나 안저와 도마메 반다 디바도 마서 사샤바 디바데게 천도던 시말 동해 용워레스 디바도 샤바이나 안 동해데 뇨모고바지 다노워레스.
All sentient beings, like ourselves, wish to have happiness and do not wish to have suffering. And if that is the case, we must look for the causal factors for happiness and the causal factors for suffering. And if we recognize that there are causes that, since beginningless time, we have created negative causes that will ripen into suffering in this life and in future lives, we must look at a way in which we can eradicate these negative causes, which will eventually cause us to suffer. That's why this is important, because it is a way in which we can eradicate these causal factors.
어제 다 동샤 도스제나 다 때깔에 가면 이거 상마지 요아데 이내 동샤가 된다든 가서 준 뭐비신 조주셰디오 알았어 말베 된다든 해디오 알았어.
So we might think, oh, this confession of downfalls, confession of misdeeds and downfalls text is very difficult, but we have the capacity to listen to it, and the explanation can be given, because we have an extensive explanation.
어제 다 동샤게 된 제바들 동샤가 된다 된선 송도스 된선 송데 안에 담부 대동샤비 추스 대바간의 샤워스 대동샤비 추 지레스 then Dibasha Tadul Gawal Hoya Bajawares, Nibatres, and the Sumba Dama Dunisheba. What the Tunsan does?
So in this text, there are three meanings or three sections. It's the actual how the confession or acknowledgement of downfalls and misdeeds takes place. The dedication of the virtue created from this would be the second section. And the third section is the general meaning of this, or general explanation of the meaning. So this text can be broken into three sections according to the commentary that we are going to use.
Naba Senji Vitajugun, Didun Shabitu, Nabal Hado Vitajugune, Didun Shabitu, Nebutoji de Shas.
So in this, the first explanation is given relative to the four opponent powers. And the first is given in the power of the basis, or in the New Great Treatise translation, the power of foundation. So this text begins with the power of foundation, and the other opponents are the power of antidote, the power of regret, and the power of power of basis, power of antidote, power of regret, and power of commitment, or it's called turning away from faults.
어제 다 땡주건 땡주 도주건 대동샤비 추대 능아주 남으상 주선비 동아샤바 다 민데 시제와 뒤다도 라마라 조수쇼 상제라 조수쇼 출라 조수쇼 genula 조수쇼 어디 땡주건 도주건 대동샤비 추도 어디 땡고르스.
So the power of basis can be found in the first section of this text, Confession of Downfalls to the 35 Buddhas. We'll see the entrance of the text says, homage to the confession of the Bodhisattva. enlightenment or so Buddha Dharma. The one thus gone. Decline. Thus gone, the foe destroyer, the perfectly completed Buddha, So we need to imagine when we make this homage or prostration that as many atoms as there are as many of our body, speech, and mind making the three homages, homage through our body, speech, and mind, or three types of prostration.
What the San Tamayina, then the Sanji Jil, Chatseva, the Diba Mobutato, and then also the Dibata Lelabuas, Marga.
The
Sanji Jig Saint Jubi gave a trilla to be the Dibatato, and then also Diba Shanaja, and then also me Saint Jamburis, Saint Jambu Tune, and the Casa, Nebutoja Songone, and Sanji the Dala Chatseva, and Diba Mo Lelabu was.
So we have this human mind that is very clever, very intelligent. So if just by reading to the founder, this first line, Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, perfectly completed Buddha, glorious conqueror, Shakyamuni Buddha, I prostrate, we can purify 10,000 eons of negative karma. And we can understand how to use the four opponent powers because of this intelligent mind that we have. So it's quite easy then to purify our misdeeds, no?
What the body is a dang also then Sumba number 20 with Dodguna, Didun Shabi Tudula, Didun Shabi Pombo, Subatan, Shaji, Didun Gozo, Didun Shabi, Saji Zone and Dua. Naba Sunji Vito, Taka, Naba Sunji Vito said the Nepal Jobaji had Marba. Naba Sunji Vito Jukun Didun Shaba. Then Jukun Didun Shaba, John Duterwa. Never good to Vito Jukun Didun Shaba, the Shisha to the Shas of the Redua. Then Naba Sunji Vito, Natun Jobadro, Dibasa Sadu, Divan Sonia Jobadrova.
That's
What the Naba Sunji Vito Jukun Didun Shabi Sutla. And to send the song those, they don't shall be one was they don't go on, Shaji, they don't go on, they don't shall be choose such as on
this. Sunjipito the Somyure.
Turned out song those,
That's good. So when we've gone over the opponent powers and their order according to this commentary, and we've gone over the power of basis, which we find is the refuge. We've gone over the power of applying antidote or applying remedies, and that is the names of the 35 Buddhas. The next section is the power of refuting the lifestyle or eradication or regret, I believe is what it's translated as usually. So the power of regret. Those other words are what is used in the Lamrim Chemo, the English translation. So I'm trying to go along with that because that's the latest words in the lexicon that we're trying to create. So the power of refuting the lifestyle. Or the power of regret is this third category. And this has 3 sections according to the commentary. Rinpoche said the 3 sections, but I'm going to have to ask him to go over them again slowly. The first is the abandonment. Then it's the Ewa Sum Yanja Soranam. Tamche Kejor Sar.
This is wrong Jabala Shaselos, the Yachi Chinsavara, Nyabukunju Tarwa. That the Naba Sunji Vitajugun didn't have turned out there, Dibal Jobaji Adrova, Jobaji didn't Adrova. What did Tensen Sonshi do?
The Lapsar.
Didn't have Pomposu was.
Pomposoa, Dongare, Pombo.
Pomposu was in the Tadala was 100 the Dala Gonsu, what is it? They what the Inchetan Perki to Lada.
The name Nipa.
Dala Gonsu. That dog is the Joa to me, Tama Shiban, Koan, Kujan, Tajina, Tama Shiban, I lazy, but what the what the Dibamago Julie, what the Diban doesn't do, what things are
deeper than Nipa.
Shaji Dibangos once. Diba Karsha water. What is Diba?
Okay.
What the Diba
Tuchena. Then a Sumba.
Sumba de don't shab it sutre.
All right, so the section on regret, which is wishing one hasn't done something, is a literal way to translate it, or wishing one hadn't committed an act. So that is the meaning of regret in this case. So regret has 3 categories according to this commentary, and it begins in the text with all of those you 35 Buddhas and others, as many Tathagatas, Arhats, perfectly completed Buddhas, as there are existing, sustaining, and residing in all world systems of the 10 directions. All you Buddha Bhagavans, please pay attention to me. So the first section is the request for them to pay attention. They're beseeching the 35 Buddhas, all the others, Buddhas in all the 10 directions, or entreating them to please pay attention and listen to this acknowledgement. So this is the first section of regret. It's a request for acknowledgement of our acknowledgement. The second section is what misdeeds are. What misdeeds are we talking about acknowledging? So that's the second section. And the third is the actual acknowledgement of the downfalls, or confession of the downfalls. And anyone who hasn't heard this before, I'm using confession and acknowledgement because acknowledgement, I think, is more literal and less loaded as an English word. These are the 3 sections. So the second section, what are the misdeeds? It says, in this life and in all states of rebirth in which I have cycled in samsara through beginningless lives, whatever negative actions I have created, made others create or rejoice in creation of, what other possessions of stupas, possessions of Sangha, etc. That section is the misdeeds, what the misdeeds are, and then the next section will be on the actually admitting them or confessing them and acknowledging them. The Rinpoche, the Chiran la injike tamche la go.
다고 동보
La tambo la sar, the gunsu su la sar.
사진 된 주더라.
Nyamdu.
냥도 되죠. 나는 고소 낸도 그래.
The
뒤다도 라마라 저 상제라 주출라 저 근데 댄지도 말বে.
tamche.
되네 존된데 디지시 바다 좀 하다 봐주 무슨지 배자와 샤도 도발라 샤서 존된 디지시 바다 롱하게 제발라 샤서 손주 송알 샤서 되지 어떻게 진된 수더라.
Leso. Nyamdu injike buke. Nyamdu.
인치긴데나 야만로. Okay,
so Rinpoche said we'll do, we're going to read the sections that we've gone over already together in the Tibetan transliteration. We'll do it slowly. I won't rip through it, I promise. So we'll do that slowly from where we've started. And just to look it over and kind of tie it in with the English, on the page 8, on the left side, you'll see Namo Shanchu. That is the beginning of the Tibetan transliteration, and that is where in English it says homage to the confession of Bodhisattva downfalls. So these are the same thing. So that section, up to where it says 3 times, is the section on the power of basis. The next section, with all the Buddha's names, up to this last Buddha's name on page 10, where it says 3 times. And in the English on the right side, it says, perfectly completed Buddha, King of the Lord of Mountains, firmly seated on jewel and lotus, I prostrate. All of those between Shakyamuni Buddha and that final one, mountains firmly seated, that encompasses the power of antidote. Or power of applying remedies. So let's read together in the Tibetan transliteration those 2 sections which apply to the power of basis and power of antidote or power of applying remedies. Namo Shanji Zembe Dongwa Shaba Danje Shejiwa Dita Dila Mala Jasu Jio Zanje La Jasu Jio Jula Jasu Jio Gendu La Jasu Jio. That section is the power of basis. The next section is the power of applying remedies. Domba jom den de dejin shepa dar domba yanda ba zope zanye beje wa shacha tu pala shatselo dejin shepa da jenim po rap tu jomba la shatselo dejin shepa rinchen utu la shatselo dejin shepa Palu Anji Jabola Shatselo Dejin Shepa Pau de la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Peje la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Rinchen Me la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Rinchen Dao la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Tonwa Don Yu la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Rinchen Dawa la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Jima Mepa la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Pemejin la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Tsampa la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Tsampejin la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Chula la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Chule la Shatselo Dejin Shepa Berzan la Shatselo
Dejin Shepa Zenden Bella Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Ziji Tae La Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Upela Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Nyanyen Mepe Bella Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Zeme Jibu La Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Meto Bella Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Zampe Uze Nampa Rupe Nyompa Jempa La Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Peme Uze Nampa Rupe Nyompa Jempa La Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Nope La Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Jempe Bella Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Tsembe Shintu Yondo La Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Wompu Togi Jelsen Ji Jelpo La Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Shintu Namba Numpe Bella Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Yule Shintu Namba Jewa La Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Namba Numpe Shepe Bella Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Kune Nawa Kupe Bella Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Rinchin Peme Namba Numba La Shatselo, Dejin Shepa Dajompa Yanda Bazope Sanje Rinpoche Dampe Malara Tuju Pari Wanjel Pola Shatselo.
That section was the power of applying remedies or power of antidote. So that is the section where the 35 names are said, and some of the names purify 10,000 eons of negativity, some 20,000, some 30,000, some 1,000. So there are different numbers of different levels of purification relative to each of the Buddha's names. So the next section is the power of regret or power of eradication. So this is feeling bad or regretting a misdeed. If one regrets or wishes one hasn't committed a misdeed, then one will acknowledge that misdeed or wish to confess it. So there are three sections of this power of regret or power of eradication. And the three sections are the request for attention, or entreating those to pay attention. Number two, the what are misdeeds, and three, actual acknowledgement or confession. So that begins on, depends on what book you have. If you have the newer book, it says Dead Dog, it's on page 14. If not, you'll find it. On the left side, it says Dead Dog La Sopa Chok Chui. On the right side, it says all those, parentheses, you 35 Buddhas and others, as many Tathagatas. That's the beginning of the section on the power of regret or power of refuting the lifestyle, eradication. So we will do that one time together. Then Gonsusu Kabarka. Then a Kabar. Jonden de Dala Gonsusu Ka. Okay. So we're going to read the section beginning with Dedala Sopa, ending with Gonsusu. And this section is the section where we are asking 35 Buddhas, all the other Buddhas, all the world systems, all the Buddhas that are basically existing. We're asking them to please think of us, to listen and pay attention to us. So we're going to read that section together in the Tibetan transliteration. Does everybody have it? Yeah? All folks have the text?
대다 라서 룰루지 사진도 다네.
Deda la sopa jojui jiten ji kam tam che na dejin shepa da jompa yanda par zopi sanje jom den de gang jitne jizu tetsu jinje pe sanje jom den de da tam che da la gonsu su.
This is the section of request for them to pay attention or to think and listen, think of us and listen to us. And I was trying to say it very slow because I know everyone has trouble reading the transliteration, but sometimes it doesn't make the words connect properly, so it sounds strange.
다디 된다 대인사가 디바 마샤나 능알 동네 용으로 nga 시근 두스 nga 디바 샤기 아니 주로서 nga 로봇이 nga 산당로지 세야지 사마르바.
So here the meaning of this is I have accumulated misdeeds and I know that those misdeeds will create suffering. So I'm scared because of this. Acknowledging the reality of this scares me. So please, so we are asking all of the Buddhists to please pay attention to us and help us while we acknowledge our downfall so that we don't have to experience the things that we're afraid of.
어제 다때네 샤지 디방어송와스 다 샤지 디방어송와데 다때네 말베 다기 지원도 어떤 맛된 저로지다 다기 지원도다
Tamche lagwe nyamdu
칼레진데 다기 지원도다 저와 도미 담아 마시 바네 안 그러자 다기 지원도다 저와 도미 담아 마시
Jesu yeram palm tropala Jesu yeram you're right. The jipala Jesu yeram palm the
다기 지원도다
sum you're right.
다기 지원도다 저와 도미 담아 마시 바네 네 다기 지원도다 저와 도미 담아 마시 바네 이봐 먹어 지지바다 오래
Jipala Jesu yeram
제수 제발라 제수이랑
then chishina de gangi
단도 때마다 제바시바 니레 다 대바들도 때마 두두진 두두진
Lesso.
올마지 제바시
Lesso. Then a gari ngatsun yamdu. Tamche.
자 담부 두두 두두진나로
I understand. Okay. So the next section begins with Dagi Jewa De Dang. The next section is the abbreviated section, which explains the ways in which one can accumulate misdeeds and what misdeeds are. So basically the explanation here in an abbreviated sense begins with Dagi Jewa, in this life and in all states of rebirth, and ends with or rejoiced in the creation of. So it says, whatever I've created, made others create, or rejoice in the creation of. And I don't know how we'll do this if you don't understand Tibetan, but it says Jesu Yerawam. That's where that abbreviated section is going to end. We're going to read it together, so when I stop, you'll know where we're stopping. But it begins with the Dagi Jewa Didang. And I'm going to try to read it as slowly as possible, but still try to connect the words so it doesn't sound strange. So we're going to read that, and that is the abbreviated explanation of how the negativity can be created. And then below that, you'll see the more expanded explanation of how that's created. That's everything, he said. Okay.
다기 어떤 흘려지 사진도 나나
Dagi Jewa Didan Jewa Tomi Tama Machipane Korwa Nakowe Jene Tamche Du Dipile Jipadan Jitu Sewadan Jipala Jesu Yeranwan.
어들들들 다 데바 듄 송버리서 말이야 다기 저와 도마메 반다 데바도 안네 데바 수수가 사바 데바 사바
Lessa.
류가 이속 데바 사바 젤 데바 사주바 이제 디바 사발 지수 이런 what the dune 디바 nga dune to son dune is ta.
So here, this is the abbreviated part of the explanation of what misdeeds are, or what are misdeeds. These are the ways that misdeeds can be created. So all of misdeeds are created in this way. So in this life and in all states of rebirth, so in this life, in beginningless lives, and all of cyclic existence, I have created negative actions in three ways. I have created them through my own body, speech, and mind, myself. I have encouraged others to create them, and I have rejoiced in the creation of these misdeeds. So here, this is the abbreviated way in which we have accumulated misdeeds.
What the nigga do it, Roa?
Digso.
What did you that in my jeba shiva?
And then below that, it expands the abbreviation, expands the explanation.
That's who's diva sa, the general diva sa to Juba, the Jesu Iranjiba, diva Kanakandasa Warsana, then jeba shiva was a Ulma. That jeba shiva, what in Mamma.
So we have these three ways. We ourselves can accumulate a misdeed. We can order others to accumulate a misdeed or tell others to do so, and we can rejoice in the creation of. So that was the abbreviated section. Below it, it expands. So now how misdeeds are created will be explained in a more thorough manner.
What that woman jeba shiva, the chudin you could on the nice. What then my Lulu is charging to Dana? Then my jebushe was.
Then a kabaka.
Chudin Kura, Ganijukura, Shuju, Ganiju, Truba, the Trudu Juba, the Trubala Jesu, Sama Chebanga, Legeba, the Jet Zavana, Jeba, Magoa Ju, Legela, the Lona Juba, the Judu Zavat, and Jubala Ju, Legi Deba Kanka, Das Engineer John, Hidaju, Utakujo, Lalujo, Hatsarim, Obama song. Lovan, Sanjay Juala, Neva, Majiba, Legi Deba Kanava, that just Sanjay Jundi. What I let
Yomare, the
Chenrezig could answer, Ganiju, Shuji, Ganiju Truba said, that not the Conjusun cool Pejoji, Diba the Marba, Chenrezig could on. Chenrezig could answer there, and the Sanjay Vijala, Chu Conjula Vijala to Soletane, now I'm ever Pejoji, Diba you are, Gigi, Rova. And then Ganula Joseph said, Ganu Conjuro, Sangarova. What the Suki Ganil Fuja Jalato, so now I'm ever Pejoji, Diba you are, so what the song not to Chenrezig could answer Lava in Satubal Koyani Hero, Chenrezig Sutubal Omar. What the question was Chenrezig could answer the Saji Conjuna, Chu Conjul Piage, and a person Jalalo, Jala, Saji Conjul Pija Jala, Matutan, Shintu to Zero. And the Chu Conjul, the Ganu Conjula Pija Jalato, no, Meba Pejina Divares, Shaji Divares, what the things are Gigi, Lojana.
So the first line says, after the one we just read in English, states, whatever possessions of stupas, possessions of the Sangha, in the 10 directions that I have appropriated. Here, the possessions of stupas refers to Buddha and the Dharma. So here, the first two lines refer to the three jewels, the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel, and the Sangha jewel. And here, if we take something from any of these without permission, then this is a grave misdeed. So here, there are a lot of items that can be offered to the Buddha, to the Dharma, and to the Sangha. There are flowers and monies and foods and so forth. If one is not given permission, then it is a misdeed to take these items. So here, these first two lines refer to stealing possessions of the Buddha, the Dharma, or the Sangha, and the explanation of it as being a grave misdeed. So this is the meaning here. Here it says stupas. In the English translation, it also says stupas. Rinpoche said this. It also says stupas it says chorten in the Tibetan text. But here, the explanation states that chorten refers to the Buddha and the Dharma. So basically, taking any of these items without permission becomes a misdeed.
다 니버 참마 지방아이래 참매가이 디바 참매가이 디바 파세바 마세바라 소리 참매가요로와 what 디바 샤지 디바 지레스 니버.
So the next part explains the 5 heinous crimes, or the 5 actions of immediate retributions: killing one's father, killing one's mother, drawing blood, killing an arhat, drawing blood from a Buddha, or dividing the Sangha. So the 5 heinous crimes, or the 5 actions of immediate retribution, are explained in the next section.
어제 다드네 송바들 먹어 주 디바들어 가서 찾으시 들어와 전난 부주르베
Lesson.
어때 샤지 디바도 어때 들으시.
So the next section is relative to the 10 non-virtuous activities. So the negative actions we've accumulated relative to the 10 non-virtuous activities. And just translators note, when I say negative actions, it refers to the 3 types. It's implicit within that, not explicit.
샤지 디바 원송 와서와 어디봐도 진도야로 지나 말아.
Okay.
저된 주고로 어떠면
So let's read those sections that we've gone over, ending. I'll end it. Trust me on this. It begins with Chortenji Goram.
근데 주고로.
You see it? Everybody see it? Ready? Chortenji Goram Gendunji Goram Chojui Gendunji Kotropadan Trochu Chupadan Tropala Jesu Irawan Samachipa Nile Jipadan Jidut Sewadan Jipala Jesu Iram Migewa Jui Leji Layanda Palawala Jupadan Jutut Sewadan Jupala Jesu Iram Leiki Jesu Iram, that's it. These are the types of misdeeds. Misdeeds types of misdeeds that need to be acknowledged. So if we take anything from the 3 jewels, then it is, without permission, it is a misdeed. That is the first. The second is acknowledgement of the 5 heinous crimes, or 5 deeds of immediate retribution. The third is the acknowledgement or confession of the 10 non-virtuous actions. So these are the misdeeds that in need of confession or acknowledgement.
Leji deba gang din da sin nyawa jiwa tunju jine shu ida ju du ju ida gu la lu ji wa la sre men nang shu omo ma song da lu ban ze ban ju sang jin juwa la ne ba me ji ban ju leji deba gang la da da ta ji sang jin ju den de gui xie su ju ba xian du ju ba bang du ju chen ba ze ba da ge xian a du cha su me che bu me be dos wo de ba de sa ma ba de dong sha bu su
Sanjay Jom den de lama san. Going indicate dan puke nyamdu saladang tanda. That's good.
Da che shan leji deba gang ge din ne se ro. Ba na nga zu mo khong ba ji ma ba, mo khong ba ji. Mo khong ba ji. De wa jo. De ji ju ju sang yu tui jin se ju ma ba. Wo de ro.
Okay. So the first section, the next part is the actual acknowledgement of downfalls or confession, and it begins.
Got
it. That's cool.
tenji tojugun deba shabi chu, nyamba kundu shabi tojugun deba shabi chu,
Soon.
naba sunji bi tojugun dedung shabi chu, charwa. Da jeba nyamba lhado bi tojugun dedung shabi chu do dele gore.
Oh, lesso. So this, of the four opponent powers, we've already gone over the power of basis, the power of antidote, the power of regret, and now the power of commitment, or a power of restraint, you can find in this next section that's coming up. That was Rinpoche added in. And it begins with, I have done, I've created being obscured by these karmas causes me and sentient beings to be born in hell realms, in the animal realms, in the predator realms, in irreligious countries as barbarians, as long-life gods with imperfect faculties, holding wrong views or not being pleased with the Buddha's descent. This refers to the life of leisure and opportunity, the 8 leisures and the 10 opportunities. So this is what it's referring to here, and so referring to the results of the misdeeds that one creates, and the results can be that one has the opposite of leisure and endowment, or leisure and opportunity, and there are 8 leisures and 10 opportunities. Sometimes they call that leisure and endowment 10. So 8 leisures and 10 endowments.
Was that lady deba gangadin da sijen nyawa jawa wadan ma karasu gore da lady deba gangadin den mokhombi ne je marwa mokhombi ne je jen deba mo sa sa yo waris ane deba to su ngalo nga su to namres to khon to so ta bin jo donsen je waris chi jenga deba sa ga me nyaw donsen din zare Nepal hado bi tojugun deba shabi chus. Deba tada mashaba ina rawa. Deba tada mashaba ina leji deba kankajene niwal chigres.
Lessa.
Niwal chesum cheche tu umares.
Lessa.
Yeda yudu chigre cheche tu umare. Tondul chena cheche tu umares. Ngasungu mukhubi ne ngasungu mukhuba songche dendru yi mukhubi ngare nga. 유타고도 좋아. 유타고도 다도 순간 든로이면 든로. 유타고스나 최마대사. 최마대사가 로마든지 제손 아는 가서 죄제도 말어.
Lessa.
유타고도 좋아. 라로 좋아. 근데 최다살 제바 있나 최로 고반데 그 라로. 근데 제바 있나 배도 말이스. 네, 라로 좋아. 어서.
Sirimbi. 가와야래. think
라로 집에 먹고
Oh, Chenrezig, you're right.
어버 마상와서나 네 미매바다 안주매바도 되지로 어버 마상와
Lessa.
따와 로반제바 따와 로반제반 장패다 버스 장패
Lessa.
장패 그 챈들 지까지 집을 존나 되게 렌데 요 말이지 버로 따와 로반제바 장패다 버스
Dawa Lopa Sanjay Kayo Mare Dundru Yida Ngawapa the Yultako
사진지대는 중앙라 녀바 뭐지
Rimbi La Jayira
홍바지 담 홍바지
the Lanin Chemong Chitsa
르르진 사진도다네.
Okay, so we'll read all of this together, but you will find the 8 leisures, or the opposite of the 8 leisures in this. Being born without these 8 leisures are results of negativity. So for instance, if we're born because of our misdeeds in the hell realm, it's very difficult to practice Dharma. So this is why it is not called a rebirth of leisure, because one does not have the opportunities that one does relative to a better rebirth, or a rebirth where these factors are not present. Just quickly to run through them, and then we'll read them together. The 8 leisures are not having wrong views, a place where there is no Buddha's word, as being born as an animal, as a hungry ghost, as a hell being, in an uncultured border region, born stupid and mute, having incomplete sense faculties, or as a long life deity. So we'll read it as in this text. So we'll read it from the section that in the English begins with being obscured by these karmas causes me and sentient beings to be born in hell realms. So that starts where it says Le Ji Jipa Gangi. So that's where we'll be reading it.
Le Jipa Ta Mahoba Jit Joale Bala Le Dan. Le Jipa Latin Jo Le Dan Yomobal Joale. What is it?
So here where it says being obscured by these karmas being obscured refers to the karma and afflictions that causes me and other sentient beings to experience these rebirths. So here the karma and afflictions are what causes us to have to experience these things. So we'll read that. Has everybody found it in the Tibetan transliteration? No. Yes. It says, do you have? Can you show him? Because he hasn't. And any.
Eighth line down.
Yeah, if you count 8 lines. And then it's going to end. It's easier, I think, if we just listen for the ending. It's going to end in the English where it says, not being pleased with the Buddha's descent. That is where it's going to end there. These aren't the 10. So we'll give everyone a moment to find it.
다 마셔보 마베도 바들 차진도 샤나
네 고이래 제요 말에 켄사보도 데사와
제제
데사와
제마도요 말 뭐콤바
냐와 덴주 이다
네
사추 마임바 사차
다달라 도요시는데 달라 제요바 존데 텐데 녀와스데 온도 제데노
켄사와 인지케이트사와
뭐콤바제
켄사와 인지케이트사와 고 인지케이트사와 식신의 주니어에
고용시가 말해 뭐콤바제
강인선은 인지케이트 단다 데츠고를 미체 데 냐와파 덴주 예다 데 추마임비 사차
주 매비 사차
데 라로
유타고도 좋았어요
네네 세림비
서림보
네네 데 원보 마차
엄마 상황
데 루 다와로파
다와 신주 로반지 잠해다 버렸어
네네 데 산제 데 페송 나츠 가포 마레 데 예레
데 말에 더즈 올 말
자와 요 마레
데 로카레 로카
알레
네 다달 저소나 사지 가버요 말이지 버다 데 제당가 골 자주요 말다
데 제인 얌두 요 마레 투체나
제들 제바이나 안 데바 모사 그래 사지 가버요 말이스 어디서 그래 사지 제대는 좋아라 네바 메제바스 어떤 마고브네 제일 제바이나 사지 제대 페발라 가버요 말이스
알레
디바사 어디서 데
They indicate that's Kensal. Okay, so just to make this more clear, it says or, not being pleased with the Buddha's descent in the English. And that makes it sound like there are 9. I was just, in my head as I was going, I was counting 9 in the English root text. So I asked Rinpoche why there are 9 in our root text. And in the Tibetan root text, it's not like or, it's more of a result of the 8. If you have these 8, you won't be pleased with the Buddha's descent. So that's the way that Rinpoche just sort of described it. I don't have time to go through it all to find out the exact English literal translation, but I asked him, I said, the not being pleased with the Buddha's descent makes 9, and the word or sounds like it's connected to the other 8. And Rinpoche said that it's more of a what'll happen if you have these other 8. That's the explanation of that. So let's read through it as best we can.
Leji dripa gangi drine da sem chen wa chi pam du dru jene su chi pam yi da ji yu da chi pam yu ta tu tu je wa pam la lo je wa pam la tse rinpo nan su je wa mam wambo mat san wan jo ram da wa lo ba zin ba jo
What about Jitra?
Yeah, those are the 8. So the not being pleased with the Buddha's descent is not included in that. And below that, the next section, we'll find the not being pleased with the Buddha's descent.
Sanji Karsanji Dendunjuan. Then what Tanda
Sanjay Junwa La. Oh, you need the. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, right. That's cool. I forgot he doesn't have a root text. La Lord, Wampo Matsawa, Sanjay.
Sanji Juala Neba.
Sanjay Junwa.
Odema Don. Sanji Mahumba Jebaina. Sanji Juala Neba Majeba. Use Mahumba Jet Joala Baina. Sanji Jeden Basement. Sanji Gabu Marija. What then my religion did that?
Lesser. Okay, so we'll read the next section together. And the meaning of this is if you have any of these 8 negative states, then you will not be pleased with the Buddha's descent. So even if a Buddha comes or there is a Buddha's descent, you will not be pleased with it if you have these 8. So we'll read that part together. It's basically where we left off, and it's a couple of lines. So we'll start with that. Hold on, one more. Sanjay Junwa La Nye Bar Mi Ji Ba Jo We Le Ji Dri Pa Gan La Pa De Jor Pa. Did I make a mistake? Did I skip a line? Want to try that again? Okay. Sanjay Junwa La Nye Pa Mi Ji Pa Jo We Le Ji Pa Ji Pa Gan La Pa De Da Tam Che Sanjay Chom Den De Yeshe Su Jur Pa
Shendu Juba.
Shendu Jorpa, Pandu Jorpa, Sema Jorpa, Chempe Zipa, Dedagi, Chenla Tula, Chaso, Michapo, Mebedo.
What about that? Nebal Hadu with
So that is the power of commitment. That section is on the power of commitment, and it reads in English. Not being pleased with the Buddha's descent in the presence of the Buddhas who are transcendental wisdom, transcendental wisdom, who are eyes, who are witnesses, who are valid, and who see with omniscient consciousness. I am admitting and confessing all of these negativities. I will not conceal or hide them, and from now on in the future I will abstain and refrain committing them again.
What is the meaning of Ishisu Juba? Ishisu Juba is a Kartana Karisrova. Ishisu Juba is a Tiji Pai Buddha Subi Shuju Sanji to Sungalo, Ishisu Juba is Ishisu Juba. And Kande Ishisu Juba is na, and Leda Numobo Ongi, Nasul Jiadan, Lekanagi, Lende go to Kangalo, and Sanji Changris, Sanji to Changris. These are and Sanji to Ishisu Jubas. Ishisu Juba.
Okay, so here we see the word transcendental wisdom. So why, what is the transcendental wisdom that the Buddhas possess. The 35 Buddhas are all Buddhas, and all Buddhas understand. All Buddhas are omniscient or all-knowing and understand the law of cause and effect, or karma and its effect. So because they understand karma or action and its results, and understand it completely, and completely meaning that he or she is omniscient. This is why the 35 Buddhas and all Buddhas are referred to as transcendental, who are transcendental wisdom. So they are those who have possessed this wisdom, and the wisdom is of karma and its effects. This is the meaning of the transcendental wisdom. The Buddhas are all knowing. The Buddhas know. Great. Keep it in here. Lei Judre, the Shen, the Yushe. So here it says transcendental wisdom. Transcendental wisdom refers to the all-knowing nature, the understanding of all phenomena. So the Buddhas, the 35 Buddhas, because they are Buddhas, understand all phenomena, and because of their omniscient mind. So this is the reason for the name transcendental wisdom. The second, it says eyes, who are eyes. The eyes refers to the Buddha's ability to ascertain all phenomena because of his or her clairvoyance coupled with omniscience. So in the same way that we can see a form, just see something in front of us, the Buddha can see all phenomena. The Buddha can see how karma and its actions work, and what karma and its results are. So the Buddha, because of his all-knowing mind and clairvoyance, can see this. Clairvoyance can see this, and this is why it says, who are eyes.
산지기 친구여서 뽀무 줘버렸어. 뽀무 줘봐. 아니 저 디반데 사샤, 고안데 사샤. 산지 마도 저마지 이시도 간깔이 커버렸어.
네. Ming, the 뽀무 줘봐. 치파.
뽀도 줘봐.
치파.
뽀도 다만 잡으러.
아, 오케이.
이시도 줘봐. 신도 줘봐. 뽀도 줘봐.
that's
산지 존된데다네. 가서 디바다 아니 고아가르 아니 신제비 뽀도 줘버렸어. 저 디반데 사샤, 고안데 사샤. So the who are eyes refers to the ability to see all phenomena and karma and its actions in the same way a normal being can see form encapsulated. The next says who are witnesses. Here, witnesses, very similar. If those of you who were in class before and we were trying to figure out judge and all of those words, witness is the more literal translation. It seems Rinpoche just kind of explained that the word in here is the same as witness before. The word here is similar to the one before. Witness. And why? What is the witness? There is no other being that would be a better witness than a Buddha to this acknowledgement, because the Buddha is the only one who is omniscient and understands karma and its actions, and understands what needs to be abandoned and what needs to be taken on, or what needs to be engaged in. So the Buddha understands that this is virtue, this is a misdeed, this is positive, this is negative. So this is the reason that the Buddha there is no other better witness than a Buddha, because the Buddha understands these things with his or her omniscience. Tapana dada keba joyena churun nasandere mhende sa gundu laba ina ana dada de shia dembarwa samarwa samamarbe samajobas da sanje jonden de gedene ana ngaso sa sha de gware de debare sanje ge son sha de samar sama dembares 나도 참아서 무슨 참아 제바 참아 제부 참아서 다 참아줘버려 참아줘봐 샤 더지 바이보다라서 봐도 속은 걸로 안에 금맥이 안에 가서 그래 금맥이 레니 신제발라 좋아요 뭐 저거 말에 덴바레스 참아줘버려 참아 공수 숨바 덴바레 참아레스 예 참아줘
So the next it says who are valid. Here, valid, the word is sema, and that can be connected to, can be also called prime, and you'll find that in valid cognition, or prime cognition, that word. And there is direct prime cognition, or direct valid cognition, and indirect valid cognition. So that's the same word when we say indirect valid cognition or direct valid cognition. That valid is the same word in the Tibetan, Rinpoche said, to make that clear. So that valid here is as follows. If we had a doctor who was a great scholar in a particular category or a particular way of diagnosis and then diagnosed us exactly and gave us exact medicine, the medicine he was giving us was because of the truth that he understood or directly perceived in a valid way. His truth is valid because of the qualifications. Likewise, the Buddha has eradicated all faults, and because of his or her omniscience, we say that it is valid because it is valid cognition. There is it is always valid and understood or truth. So here, this is the reason for the word valid, because the Buddha is faultless relative to view and understanding of what needs to be abandoned and what needs to be practiced.
Tuwa na shaba ni de ana nga diba sa sa sun lao shaba de tuwa tulo sa de lao ba tres
That's Rinpoche. The nge jun chikshin.
shenga tulo cha so sa
The sema that's go kang sen.
sama
Sema juba, jembe zipa.
cheme juba cheme ziba
The jembe zipa.
cheme ziba sanje tu chemba ge le kana de chunga zigo ro sanje tu chengo ro 동고 ro 동ke ge sanje de da ge dunlenge diba togi shagis
Oh, I
na
see.
diba sa ja sangme lagis shagis
Less so.
what this is it shenga tulo chaso shenga tulo chaso tuwa dan shabal chaba karisna tuwa sana shubal shuba na diba sa ba is lawa.
So here it says, and who see with omniscient consciousness, I am admitting and confessing all these negativities. So here, without restraint of any negativities, I will confess them all. So here, it's saying to those who have, it's not as connected as it seems to these other lines as it did before. It's more of, now there's a new section, and to those who are omniscient ones, because they are all-knowing and understand all of our actions and see all of our actions, and understand because of their all-knowing mind. I am admitting these to you, the omniscient ones, because you've seen them and you understand. So those are the connecting lines in the Tibetan. I am admitting these, all of these negativities. So it's the confession or acknowledgement to them.
shenga tulo chaso mechobo mebeto mechobo sana diba sa na sang shaba yin chawa res chawa diba sa sa de mal mala baje sanjil ma ju baje an sang shaba yin chawa diba chawa zure sang wala sang mechobo mebeto
Me chapo me papo gar chapo gar chapo due me chapo me pap
me pedo.
Machabos Shebane, Didon Gender Shejang, Shemata, Sandu Majuba, Sandu Shuba Majuna, Machaba in Lasa.
Me pedo.
Deba Ganda Saba in Naya, Deba Ganda Saba in us.
Someone that made gender.
Magitunga Begana Chavaris,
Lesso.
and Mabina Machabaris.
Then me pedo gare.
Machaba in Las, Tadashuna, Chajiji, Tuanjuro, maybe to Shebane, maybe to Shebane,
Chapagaric. NGK drop will do.
maybe to Shebane, Jidena, Zeguba Bebatar, Didon Shejindo, Majibi Beba in Lassa. And Kasugu.
Drop will do. Your marbe.
Deba Saja, but the Basha was Umarba. And not to Jala Kin and then Basha is Euro.
Baja.
Beba.
Kunda. Gangin sending a cage or self lago. Gangin sending NGK, the Zawa. The Chapo.
Machaba, the Kan Malaba, color.
Lesso.
Color Malana,
Lesso.
Chavaro.
Lesso.
Colors on the Machabaro.
Pedo.
Machabaro. Tulu, Ale. Besana that,
Chapagaric.
when I to command the Jukuvaina,
Lesso.
Comago Jala Juro, the
Lesso.
Beja Mother.
Someone such a-
Jagaro.
Less,
What then I Debasan Beja.
Ale. Chuchena. Okay. So the reason I was asking is the next line it says, I will not conceal them or hide them. And in the Tibetan, there's two, conceal and hide. So I was trying to find out from Rinpoche, what's the difference? Because the concealing and hiding are very similar in the English, so it's going to be hard to explain. So Rinpoche said this, concealing here refers to not speaking of something one has, not admitting or speaking that one has done something, not telling someone else, keeping it very secret, not saying to the Buddhas, not confessing it, keeping it very secret to oneself. Here, hiding refers to if someone has stolen something or has taken something that wasn't theirs and hidden it so that no one would find out or so that no one would see that this had happened or that they had done it. Then this is what the hiding refers to. So the concealing refers more to keeping one's faults a secret, and the hiding, and a secret internally, and the hiding refers to hiding refers to kind of taking the items one has misappropriated and putting them somewhere they can't be found in a secret place. So that's the difference in the two words in the commentary.
Machabu Mabetos.
Less.
Deba Sasan Bebaina, and the Kuba to Betures. Sajik Kachin, you are Betua.
See, the thing that's so funny about this is that one can conceal or hide something or put it in a secret place, but the Buddha is all-knowing and sees everything, so it doesn't really matter.
Yataba Jubi Sanji and the Chutanji Monsun Chenrezig, Kazi Ben Sajik Beba Saji Chenrezig.
So, because the Buddha understands all phenomena, no matter how many things one has done, the Buddha has seen all of them.
Machabu Mabeto, big Mason said.
So you can't, so it's saying not to conceal them or hide them, not to do this.
Machabu Mabeto, what about the Nepal Hadu Toshukun Debashab? Nebuto Jignon Jibadris.
So here, this I'm not going to conceal them or hide them is the power of commitment, or the power of, what is it, turning away from faults, I think it's called in the other translation.
Bena Lanila. Two Tebanju, Sanji Mosun Chendo, Bekajena, Sanji Gumba Sanders. Gumba the time, two tenders, Madiabum does not go Deba Sabbath, Began those. Beba Sanji Chengoro, Sanji the chance one, Madiabum do Gonuris, Madiabum Member Chenrezig. What the one things that can't
the Sanjay, the May Apple Maple, it's all down to do it.
Sanji Takante, Deba does Tashing and Deba Jigam as I think, don't send Marba, don't say.
Here is basically in the future I will not conceal or hide them, and now on in the future I will abstain from and refrain from committing them again. So here, this is the power of commitment. And remember, there was something I wasn't clear on, but if the Buddha is an all-knowing, so okay, it's all coming kind of together. The Buddha is all-knowing and sees these things anyway. So it makes no sense to conceal or hide them. And if we do this, then this will create a negative, it's a negative relationship with the Buddha. It's almost as if we're displeasing the Buddha. That's the best word to use. We're displeasing the Buddha because the Buddha knows we did this anyway. So it's displeasing the Buddha. So here it's making a commitment not to do such a thing again.
What the Junju Longi Junju Sanji Shanchu Sembata Kundu Tume Zibaden Tada Tanji Shengana Tabadan Nesu She Dansa Deme Saku Tajudan Sari Dresu Shejuna Dishi Laba Tenshine Trabi Di Mela Torosa Nebel Hadubas. 다 소소게 디바는 가르사바 이나야 아니 사제 무슨 대쇼 냐바 되네 아니 시제네 디바도 사그메 냐베 줘바제 고래 송이살.
So here, all of the misdeeds that we've created, because of the Buddha's clairvoyance, are understood. They are seen by him or her. So here it's a regret for having created these misdeeds and a recognition that the Buddhas are all-knowing and understand this.
tenji tojugun deba shabi chu, nyabu gundu shabi tojugun deba shabi chu, naba sunji bi tojugun deba shabi chu, naba sunji bi tojugun deba shabi chu dal dedun shabi pambu suwa, shaji deba ngozunwa, dedun shabi chu, watanda dedun shabi chu di marita, dedun shabi chu. Naba Sunji Todla Sungyorwa.
Less so.
Dedon Shabi Wambusuwa, Shaji Deba Ngozwa, Dedon Shabi Chu, Machabu Mabedo, what about Dedon Shabi Chu Tanaris Marbe?
So here we have in the four opponent powers, the power of basis, the power of antidote, and the power of regret. The regret has three categories. The Dunsen Sum, the Juba Dunsen Sum, Yanja Jupo Lauron.
Nebu Kundish Mare, Naba Sunji Vitodla Sonro, Dedonsha Wambungon, Pambusuas, Jiji, Niba de Shaji Debangons. Somba Dedon Shabi Sus, Tanda Machabu Mabedo, about the Dedon Shabi Chu things. Nyabal had without all my young. Nyabal had without.
Just bear with me for 1 second here.
I should be Dedon now, Shabar Mazi, Shinchi. Jang Dedon Majiba, Tuji Majiba, don't send them a show to that. Majiba, the Daki, do na, Nebutoji, Tangwa, Nebu, and Jusen, Didu Shabal and Big Good, the Damambina, and Hana Didu, Jazanshi, Jampana, the Watinji Diba, Sheratin down.
So in this section on the regret, we see the request for the attention to be paid, and the explanation of what misdeeds are, general misdeeds, what they are, and the actual confession section, the confession or acknowledgement. So here, the last section falls into that category of confession or acknowledgement. because we've already gone through the request for attention and gone through what the misdeeds are, and then the actual acknowledgement or confession is stated in the end where it says, I am admitting and confessing these, beginning with that and ending with, I will abstain from committing them again. I'm sorry, the regret section, the confession section of the regret section falls into that category. That's what Rinpoche said, but Rinpoche, niepa le dopa kabia.
Tenji to Tavares, Tenji Gun Devashab Tavares, Niabu Gundishu Tajugun Devashab Tavares, Sanjil Shatsel Sarwa, Tanaba Sunji with Tajugune Devashab Sudes Hunters,
the lapsar.
Amongozua, Shaji Debongozua, Dedun Shabitu, Machabu Mabeto, the Badre, Sonsan Taji Matla Maris.
So we've gone over the power of basis, the power of antidote, and the power of regret, and we found that the power of regret has the categories of the request for attention, what misdeeds are, and the actual confession. So now we only have one more of the opponents to go over. So there is not more than one to go over, Rinpoche said.
Machobo Mabeto, that Hanshi Jojo Dumbajila, Sanji Jondan the Kaza.
Here, Rinpoche.
Or Hanshi Jang. What did my death do that? Hanshi Jang Shebane, Lasso, Shebi Bajidensa. Hanshi Jang Jujin, Dumbar, J. Lasso. Sanji Jondan the Tanji Dala Gonsusu. Dag Joan the Joa Tomita Machiban, Koana Kujine. Kawana Ku Jene Jentato Jimbe Mari Hotat one legend.
One lesson. Lenche John Joji Kagdu.
Lenche John Jojin Domba Jelaso Domba Jelas water in there. Never allowed to be done there in war. Lenche John Jojin Domba Jela Debasaga, but the Shinching and Debasagames water in there. There's Madame.
All right, so now it's going to be very clear. Sometimes we're using multiple resources here, so that's why we're sometimes getting confused. So the power of basis, we've understood. The power of antidote, the section, we've understood. The power of regret has the three sections, and it goes through, ending at and who are valid. So to those who see with omniscient consciousness, I am admitting and confessing these negativities. I will not conceal them or hide them, and from now on in the future I will abstain and refrain from committing them again. This falls into the category of the power of a commitment, or a power of refuting the lifestyle of erratic. We're going to say the power of commitment. That's easiest. Turning away from faults, I think it's called in the other text. Yep. Okay, so well, let's do that section together, beginning with and who see with the omniscient consciousness. Hold on one second. Okay, let me Sanjay Jungwa Samachi Len Che Jang Chu Ching Dongba Jilasos.
Hanjis Shugun and Dibajimes. Shinchi Tapinshi Leda.
Yeah, it's just that one line. The last line, they've made a Len Che Jang, the Mi Chapo, Mi Pepo, the
macha mabe to tamale ya chinsawari naba senji bi to khon chinsaro mabe to ziyade
Okay.
naba senji bi to
Okay. All right, so where so we have to okay, so look at your English section right now. And in the English section, where it ends with, I will not conceal or hide them, that is the last section on the power of regret, according to the commentary. So that last line that we have to read, it says, and from now on in the future I will abstain and refrain from committing them again, is the only line, according to this commentary, that refers to the power of turning away from faults or commitment. So everything before that, including I will not conceal or hide them, falls into the category of the power of regret.
What kale cha jin de ne nyang du ne
The lenje.
hanji jang jue jin dong ba je la so
Slowly. Lenje Jan Chu Chin Dong Ba Ji La So. That's the fourth of the opponent powers, the power of commitment. And that in the English is, now on and in the future I will abstain and refrain from committing them again. So just a quick synopsis in case the English translation wasn't clear. The power of basis is the first section where the refuge is. The power of antidote is the next section on the 35 Buddhist names. The power of regret is the section up to I will not conceal or hide them. There are three categories in the power of regret. And the power of commitment, or power of turning away from faults, is that last line, and now in the future I will abstain and refrain from committing them again. So that's the entire thing, if it wasn't clear before. It's the fourth opponent power, the power of commitment, that last line. So we've gone over the four opponent powers, and we're going to now go on to the section on dedication. And that last line, it says, from now on and in the future, I will abstain and refrain from committing them. This refers to, since beginningless time, we have created misdeeds and created downfalls. So we are acknowledging all of those that we have created, engaged in at this moment, and we are making a commitment to not engage in them in the future. So we are stating that we will not do these things again that we have done since beginningless time. So that is the power of commitment. So now we've gone over all of the four opponent powers, and we're on to the next section of dedication. Our mind is, and the negativities or misdeeds that are implanted in it can be compared to the moon, and the misdeeds compared to clouds. We can see at times when we have a night when the moon is out and there are a lot of clouds, we really can't see the moon very well. But then there are other nights where it's a very clear night and the clouds aren't there and we can see the moon very well. Our mind is compared to that moon, and our misdeeds are compared to the clouds. And as we acknowledge our downfalls and misdeeds and we engage in virtuous activities, our mind will become clearer and clearer because the clouds of the misdeeds will be cleared away. So in now we're going to explain something from Nagarjuna's letter to a friend.
Deba le shadon abjegina deba ta yoris deba ta yoris ro deba ta yoris dawa tinde tabunze judes ane gaza nakhalle chang timba gin dawa din go duwas ane timba tansona an dawa sebchan tanaji seg dibi timba ta yoris nyabo tojo chang go shadon jegina seg dibi tind ta ne ane sede ane be nakhal dawa tinda dawa na zebu chayung gores tabun zejude ane pukari yasana gawu dan papa sumi tiwa angulu mala la soba tusbe mudeng do gawu dan sumi tiwa angulu mala thonde deshi ane jabu deshi zambala soba desu ki diba mubu tabaris
jabu deshi zampo dipa mambo sasam jabu deshi zampo de chinken de Como loju chinken yene the yigi dang su japo
gaus jidwa chung said marbe chung gao de cha jen chung gao marbe chung gao beje what the dibata kese ji
Chambo
sutin said angul malaro angul mala dibam botaba sutin thonde de ha jenda ji ge dibata chu ji what the shitting rebel then now go.
So in the letter to a friend by Nagarjuna, Nagarjuna states that our mind is like the moon that is obscured by clouds on a dark night, but purifying the negativities within our mind is like clearing away the clouds and making space clear so the moon can be seen. The clouds can be, so the word apart from, so the clouds can be separated from the area in which the moon is and from space, and the space can be purified and clear so the moon can be seen. There are those who have done this, such as Angumala, and there are two other names of people who created large amounts of misdeeds that were able to purify them. So through acknowledgement of our misdeeds and downfalls, we are able to purify our misdeeds. And when our misdeeds are purified, this creates more clarity of our mind, like removing the clouds from the moon on a cloudy night.
So
we've gone over so many times the story of Angumala. And that is from the text by the great master Nagarjuna, Letter to a Friend. I encourage everyone to look these quotes up, because there's no way I can literally quote them perfectly. So I encourage everyone to buy these books. So of the sections on the, according to the explanation of the commentary of the Confession of Downfalls, the first section is the section of the general confession of misdeeds and downfalls. The second section is dedication. So we've arrived at that dedication section. The third is the general abbreviated meaning of this, but the dedication is the second section, and we've arrived at that. So next week we'll start the section on dedication. So maybe now we'll do dedication and mandala offering, and then after, if there's any questions, we can do that. Okay? And we do that only in the Tibetan transliteration. Let's focus now. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niratayami.
Okay.
Nyambe Babu Jeda Jen Padang Gondu Zambo De Yan De Shin De Deda Kunji Jesu Dada Je Gewa Dida Danche Ratung Ho Duzum Shebe Gewa Danche Ji Ngawa Gana Chotu Ngapade Dajen Gewe Tsawa Di Kunjang Sampo Chichira Tungawani Ngari Rawe Ngowe Shinyani Menani Amalun Yomwene Chenrezig Yatsoi Shabezi Demondu Denyoni Lozon Zambo Yonye Nangala Yorin Yabalin Asian Lonando Minemalin Yeba Yenzu Andarin Yanyanin Yo Lanu Mumbanze Gambengo Zundonga Danchudzin Danyo Zundu Zamdarunyin Geje Gombo Nyurin Shamden Yo
Yeah. Yes, okay.
If anybody has any questions, that would be okay. Or... Yes.
About abusing one's own aggregates.
Abusing one's own is
Is that
including what?
Is that included in the confession of moral downfalls? Probably the 10 moral virtuous actions, but I'd like to know what.
Oh, so like self-harm behavior?
Abusing one's own aggregates, and what does that mean, and what are the things that are involved in abusing one's own aggregates?
And is that abusing one's own aggregates, is that in the text?
Is that part?
No,
Should that be confessed?
Oh, okay. So that's not something.
What constitutes abuse of one's own aggregates?
Okay. The Kongi Truwa. Then where did you see because he's going to want to know where did you see abusing one's aggregates? Where is that?
I didn't. That's why.
Oh, I see. Okay. Then the Kongi Truwa.
If you take a bodhisattva vow,
Right.
when you abuse your aggregates,
Mm-hmm.
you're not benefiting others,
Mm-hmm.
and so on and so forth. And maybe this is very dangerous.
Okay. Kongi Truwa. Ngatsu Pombonga.
그래.
Ngatsu nupa the Tsansa Ngatsu me genda the nupa the du chao lao du contra tsao du yene Tsansa me kashe rangi nu du Tsansa konsu the pombonga Tsansa the der the lapa the der jagdu then san me nyomba Tsansa the jagdu then Sansan the rangi sam the salo the ducha salo mamodangdu then a kongi pombonga Sansan kong supo nu dangdu then the jun yimba the deepa yimba gangin sena deepa yimba then a shaba gudu then the rangi nu kabiare megewa ju nala kabiare rang se dangra
rang se na debar hot dag jeba zadro dag jeba jen jetu juba jesu yeron su na debar hot dag deba sabaro
yene matsepa yene nuna the sansan der yuna then der the lapa jagdu then chak yongdu
te debar
then me gewa ju nala
수수기 디바 사바들어다 다니 pombo 메모자스 나이 pombo 도자레스 나지나 라주고 말에 동아레스 라고도 나이 pombo 도자레스 땡지요 말레스 pombo 너바 제지요 말레스 pombo 손조 제고레스 펜사고레스 르는 다다 토메지 다다나도 손샤스 나주고 르데 나주 단다버레스 르데 요상 지동에 가이동에 나이동에 지동에 용거 요하르데 나주 르데 자쳐버레스 된다 쳐버레 대인 손상 펜사 처리무 용와서 제고레스 르는 바 제지요 말레스
then me matsana natsu yuna deepa yimba gangin sena the ngatsu rangi the nupa
다 해마자나 수수기 조불 너그러다 나자 시천으로
deepa yimba
what 수수수 디바 사반다버레
all right, sorry that took so long, but I wanted to make sure I gave so many different examples of how one could harm one's aggregates just so Rinpoche could be clear on it. And the answer is yes, harming one's own aggregates. When we see misdeeds that can be created by oneself, encouraging others to create, or rejoicing in the creation of others creating, it falls into the category of ourselves creating it. If we kill ourselves, then this falls into the category of killing. And this is a grave non-virtue. So anything that we do to harm ourselves is a non-virtue, because in Arya Deva's 400 verses it states, in some ways we see this body as an enemy, and commentary, because the body, based on this independence upon this body, we have to experience the suffering of birth, aging, and sickness, and death, and so forth. It's because of these aggregates. But in another way, it's because of this body we can utilize it as a vessel to practice Dharma and to learn many things. We have this mind that can understand and possesses all of these abilities. So it is stated that it is negative, it is a misdeed to even say these 5 aggregates that we possess are no good, they are worth nothing, they don't have any abilities. To have this is a wrong view. To have this misknowledge of our aggregates' potential is a wrong view. So just misknowledge of their potential is a wrong view. So harming those aggregates in any way is a misdeed. Harming is a misdeed. So I asked of what categories. Rinpoche said it would just be harming in general, because and I asked if one has an illness and doesn't take medicine purposefully does not take their medicine, they have a sickness, they've been diagnosed, the doctor gives them medicine, and they do not take it, if that is a misdeed. And Rinpoche said, absolutely it is, because based on this human form, this human basis, we can study, we can learn things, and we will shorten our lifespan by not taking the medicine prescribed. We will become unhealthy, we will become sick and not be able to perform for perform and engage in the path to our goals and others' goals. Our human basis is very similar to having a wish-fulfilling jewel in our hands.
If
we rely upon this human basis, if we depend its independence upon this human basis, that we can achieve the rebirth into the gods and the humans realms. We can achieve the state of liberation. We can achieve the state of unsurpassable, true, complete enlightenment. We can achieve all of these results. Even a wish-fulfilling jewel could not produce those results for us.
Okay. That's
fine, no?
Yeah. Okay.